All right, a lot of the media today, not just the mainstream media, also a portion of the alternative media, are being used to create fear and confusion. Here at We Are Change, we strive to do something different. That's why we're doing these weekly wrap-up videos, giving you the stories, the most important ones that happened this week that are either underreported or grossly censored. And today is June 25th, 2017, and today we will get into Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, and of course, Israel. And I think the most shocking news that will have the biggest global ramifications is what Israel just did after their military forces have just attacked the Syrian army inside of Syria. As we know, the Israeli military is financed by your US paying tax dollars, and they're using that military might, striking Syrian artillery positions and ammunition trucks for the last 2 days. They also specifically targeted machine gun positions and 2 tanks while destroying a Syrian military vehicle with wounded soldiers. The Israeli military is answering back and saying that this is in a retaliation for 10 quote, projectiles that fell on the contested land of the Golan Heights region. And the question is, what were these 10 projectiles and who shot them is still unknown, but Israel still used this as a justification to attack the Syrian government that was fighting the al-Nusra front inside of Syria. The same Syrian rebels that Israel has been given aid and medical treatment to in that region for a number of years now. The Syrian government forces were fighting against the Nusra Front, were fighting against terrorists when Israel decided to intervene and attack them for that. And now those same jihadists are launching another massive attack on the Syrian government as Israel is working as their air force. Now you might ask yourself, why is this a big deal since Israel has been doing this before? Well, we have to understand the bigger picture here that's not being portrayed to you in the mainstream media, and that is the fact that Donald Trump's administration with Saudi Arabia and Israel have officially taken the side of the rebels, radical Islamic terrorists, against the Syrian government, which is aligned with China and Russia, pushing us further into this proxy war between these global powers that could erupt into a bigger conflict, especially on the heels of the United States just 7 days ago bombing and downing a Syrian warplane that was bombing ISIS. And I personally don't understand why people aren't up in arms about this and making this a bigger issue, since by officially aligning with these radical Islamic terrorists, you not only allow them to grow and spread their hateful ideology all around the world, but the United States with its allies, Israel and Saudi Arabia, are literally enabling not only mass human suffering in the Middle East, but the expansion of radical Islamic terrorism all over the world. And if that's not news, I don't know what is. Now, here in America, we are getting mainstream media reports of the United States supposedly bombing ISIS, but we're getting official numbers now, and we're seeing that US-led airstrikes are mainly killing civilians, and just in this last month alone, 137 children were killed from US-led airstrikes inside of that country. Almost 500 civilians have been killed last month alone inside of Syria against these so-called PR ISIS strikes that have even struck a school inside of Syria with no international recognition or condemnation. Meanwhile, there's video clear as day of hundreds of ISIS troops escaping Raqqa with US jets flying overhead, allowing them to escape. And as we know, these are the same supposed rebels that the American government armed, funded, and trained in order to establish regime change inside of Syria. And that's why it is no surprise to me that this week, the congressional bill that was put forward by Tulsi Gabbard, a congresswoman that visited Syria, that saw the situation unfolding there on the ground, introduced a bill to the House called the Stop Arming Terrorists Bill, so that it would be legally on the books in the United States that the United States cannot finance radical Islamic terrorists. That law that she proposed failed with only 13 members of our representative government supporting it. Out of 435 members of this Congress, only 13 supported this bill, which of course failed. Which is no surprise here because Donald Trump is actually continuing the same policies that were established by George W. Bush, continued by Barack Obama, and now of course being followed through by Donald Trump, who promised he would stop them because it was the common sense thing to do. But no, That's not happening. And now in other human suffering funded by your taxes news, we have Saudi Arabia that of course Donald Trump flip-flopped on, backtracked on, and now has closely aligned himself with, that has just launched 50 air raids inside of Yemen within just the 24 hours. Now the US and British government have actually worked together with Saudi Arabia on attacking Yemen, specifically attacking the forces that are fighting against Al-Qaeda in that region, by the way. And now with the world's biggest superpowers bombing the crap out of that country, we have over 100,000 people that are ill right now with a deadly cholera outbreak in that country that has already killed 1,300 people within the last few days, with an average of 5,000 new cases happening every single day. And while this massive humanitarian crisis is happening, Saudi Arabia decided to bomb a Yemeni hospital that was treating people from this deadly illness. And that pisses me off, because as this thing is happening, we are utterly just being distracted with asinine, egotistical, bottom-feeding pundits who want to argue about whether or not people should crash theater plays. And I'm sorry, but there are a lot more important things that actually matter that are happening in this world that we should pay attention to, and Yemen is one of them. Continuing on with more important news that you should be aware of, WikiLeaks this week revealed how the CIA has been hacking Wi-Fi routers for years, and unraveled how the CIA has literally compromised every single router in America. And as Big Brother spies on you for total control and dominance, the mainstream media keeps obsessing about this Russian hacking story and how they're trying to spy on the United States. Meanwhile, it just came out that Barack Obama was the one who ordered cyber weapons to be implanted into Russia's infrastructure. And now people are surprised and shocked about the potential of Russia hacking us when the United States has been doing it for a while, but people don't understand these hacking wars have been happening for a very long time and are only highlighted and pushed when it goes through a certain agenda that they want you to believe in. And in more propaganda news this week, we have Donald Trump, who came out just today and said that the Clintons were guilty of colluding with Democrats in order to defeat crazy Bernie Sanders. Now, of course, we know this is true from the WikiLeaks revelations, but the comment has to be made with Donald Trump's presidential slogan when he was running to be, when Donald Trump was running to be president of the United States. One of his main statements was lock her up, to persecute her, but yet nothing has happened. And now, quite the contrary, we have Bernie Sanders and his wife who are now under FBI investigation for supposed bank fraud. And the investigation looks very serious, since the Sanders have hired a very prominent defense attorney in order to protect them against this new FBI investigation that has been opened up against Bernie Sanders. And my comment on all this is, why can't the FBI under Donald Trump go after Hillary Clinton, who knowingly broke the law during the presidential election, which even Donald Trump admits to? Why is she so protected, even from the man who promised to, quote, lock her up? Now, whether Bernie Sanders is guilty of bank fraud or not, we do not know. We will find out later. But honestly, I have lost all respect for Bernie Sanders ever since he was knowingly cheated out of the presidential race by Hillary Clinton, but yet still decided to capitulate, officially endorse and support her, while cutting deals with her for the use of private jets and other things, totally selling out all the people who supported him during the presidential election. So yeah, that is the news this week. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you think I missed a story, if you think there was a story that happened this week that I should have mentioned, let me know in the comment section below. I always read your comments. And of course, I wanted to generously thank everyone who is supporting us on wearechange.org/donate, either through PayPal or Bitcoin or direct mail, because this news broadcast would not be possible if it wasn't for you participating in this digital media age and critical time of information liberation. Love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching.